Welcome to another episode of Making Our Way. I'm Marissa Penrod, and I am so excited to bring you these two special guests today. I have with me Chaikia and Darrel Nicklow, who are raising their son, Darrel Jr. Darrel is living with the same disease that my youngest son, Joseph, is, Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And sometimes I think when you have a diagnosis like Duchenne, it should give you a free pass on anything else difficult coming up in life. But because of Duchenne, Darrel experienced early onset heart failure and miraculously received a heart transplant. And Chaikia and Darrel are here today to share that very tender, intimate, personal, and miraculous experience with us. But their story is not so much about a medical issue. I think their story is much more about the humanity that's rooted in the love for their child. Their story is one about how they figured out how to keep showing up for each other, how they found hope, how they maintained laughter and joy in their household, and how they navigated one of the most difficult things that any parent could ever imagine. Their story is powerful in so many ways, but I think one of the most powerful things it shows us is that resilience and grit and determination aren't always loud. Sometimes they just show up in the quiet, beautiful moments that are framed by the love for a child. Theirs is a beautiful, funny, fun, joyful story. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. Darrel and Chaikia, it's so good to have you here. Some of my favorite people. I'm glad I get to chat with you today. So tell me a little bit, to get us started, will you tell me a little bit about your family?
Well, we got one kid, Darrel Jr., and he just had a birthday. He turned 28. He got diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy when he was 5, probably like 2 weeks before going into kindergarten. He's had a heart transplant, and he had a heart transplant when he was 13. He came through that. He has 3 different degrees. He has an AA. He has a bachelor's degree in digital media and graphic designs with a minor in interdisciplinary studies. He also has a master's in curriculum instructional educational technology. He runs DNIC Productions and Limitless Designs.
What was Darrel like growing up?
Woo.
Bad.
He was an active kid. He was he was a busybody. He got into everything.
Yeah, he was busy. He was talkative, but the thing is, he didn't talk till he was like 3.5 or 4 years old. He didn't talk. He pointed at everything. And so they thought he couldn't hear. So had to take him to different hearing doctors at all children's, and they found out there's nothing wrong with this kid. He just didn't want to talk to people. And then when he started talking, he hasn't shut up since. So he was very talkative, into everything.
So we've got the Darrel who didn't talk, the Darrel who doesn't stop talking, and then the Darrel who has 3 degrees, including a master's degree. What's Darrel? Who is Darrel at his core?
Well, I describe him as he's a lovable young man that can relate to anybody. He can hold a conversation with any. He used to hold a conversation when he was about 5 years old. He was old before his time. So and he's ours. You know, he's my son. I love him more than life. As well as his mom do the same. So he's an amazing young man that I'm glad to be his dad. I know she's more than glad to be his mother as well. So yes.
A beautiful family and a beautiful story. When people first meet Darrel, he's 28 now. What do they notice? What do you think they notice most about him?
His smile, his personality. Because he'll go up to a stranger and just start talking. He'll introduce himself and just start talking. And then he'll come back and say, I need you to come with me because I got to show you somebody I just met. And I'm like, show me somebody you just met. And then he'd take me over there, and it's like he's known these people his whole life.
I think that's how I met you. I think it was Darrel. So Darrel is very outgoing, and he has a drive. You know, you talked about he has an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. Where do you think that comes from? That determination, that drive?
Me and his mama trying to figure that out right now because he's so strong-minded, strong-willed. He'll never give up on himself. When he was going through what he was going through, he always told me to go do what I had to do. He was gonna be okay. So we don't know where he get it from.
Yeah, I know where he get it from. He get it from me because I know I'm strong-willed with everything. I done went through a whole lot of stuff and come out on the other side. So I know I'm strong-willed, and I get that from my mom. My mom and my daddy were strong-willed people too, and so they instilled a whole lot in me. So I instilled a whole lot in Darrel. Like, this is what it is, and yes, your life ain't fair. Life ain't fair with nobody. Some people get this, some people get that, but you got to take what you get and roll with it and make whatever happen happen.
I want to jump right into something. When you talk about, you have to take what you're given and roll with it. So Darrel was diagnosed with Duchenne at a young age, like my own son Joseph was. But Darrel had a medical emergency happen in his teens that we don't see that often. That even for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Darrel's issue with his heart was pretty extreme. Will you take us into that a little bit and share with us what happened at that time? Because that to me is the ultimate example of being resilient and determined and not giving up.
He started getting sick. He started getting tired. It was 5th grade going into 6th grade. He started getting tired a lot. And like his teacher started noticing every time he got to like third or fourth period, he was like tired. He wanted to put his head down. And some of the teachers was like, that boy's spoiled. He been up all night playing video games. But one of his teachers was like, no, it's something else going on. And she's like, I've seen this before. And she's like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think something's going on with his heart. And she started paying attention and documenting it and times and different things and, watching his blood pressure and everything. And she let me know, and she was like, I can't just, just openly say this, but this is my take. This is what I think is happening. I think you guys need to get him seen. And he got sick, and he was in her class, and she called, and we went up there and we got him and took him to the hospital. And sure enough, the hospital ran their tests on him here at the hospital we have. And they're like, he's going to have to go see a specialist. And the doctors did their tests and stuff there. And they're like, his heart is like not good. We're going to have to put him on like heart medication. And we're like, okay. So they started him off on a low dose of medication for his heart and a low dose of prednisone. I think it was like 10 milligrams, 15 milligrams of prednisone. And they just watched it, just monitored it through the 6th grade, through 7th grade. But we go back and forth to the doctor, and they kept an eye. And they're like, his heart, the medicine that they need to go up a dose, that it seemed like it wasn't getting good. And then by the time he went in 8th grade, he was really having like heart problems going on. And we were really back and forth to the doctors. And that's when he started like being sick and having to be in the hospital for the heart and everything. And finally, like one of his doctors said, well, before they said it, we went to a routine visit. I never forget it. It was August 8th, 2011, right before school got ready to start. We went for a regular routine checkup. We were in there for a while. We waited and waited. I told his dad, I said, something's off. He's like, no, they probably busy. Sometimes they had medical emergencies. They had to leave you and go on the floor. They still didn't come. I'm like, no, something going on. He's like, just calm down. It might be another kid, something going on. So I said, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and I looked. I didn't go to the bathroom. I went to go be nosy. And I went and the door was cracked where the doctor was. And I was peeking in there and I could see his name like on a screen thing. And the doctors was talking. But I don't know if he was talking on a phone, but I can hear other doctors and stuff talking. But his name was up there, and it was like a red thing. This was before, like how I'm looking at you. They were able to see that. I'm like, these people were zooming way before we ever knew something about a Zoom. And I'm like, they're talking about Darrel and his heart. So I went back. I told his dad, I said, I told you it's something. I told him what I saw. He's like, maybe they're just discussing the echoes and EKGs and stuff they did. They came in and the nurse was like, Darrel, you want to go down for ice cream? And I'm like, she ain't never said ice cream ever in her life. They come in there and tell you what's what and we leave. And I looked at his dad. I say, see? And I was like, no, he don't want ice cream. Because now I know something's not right. And so when I said, no, he doesn't want ice cream. And she's like, yeah, I think he needs some ice cream. Come on, Darrel, and walk with me. So by that time, the doctors came in. The doctor came in. He came with another nurse. And he said, I need to talk to you guys. And I looked at him. And he said, his heart's not doing good. He was only working with 10% injection fraction. They didn't even know how he was running around in there. He was running around. He had his little handheld video game. He was climbing up and down and just being Darrel. He's like, I don't even know how he's able to run around, do what he's doing when his heart is not functioning. It's not going. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, so what do we do? And he said, well, he's going to have to be in the hospital. So I'm thinking, okay, so I take him home and we'll come back later. And he's like, no, he goes in the hospital right now. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah. And then that's when he showed me the stuff. And then he took me and his dad in his little office room by itself and sat us down. And he was like, do you guys want us to tell Darrel, what's going on? He's like, I'm not sure. We give him 3 to 6 months. I'm like,
and I say,
what?
Say that again.
And he said, say it again. They said it again. The doctor said it again. I'm like, no, we're not going to tell him that. I said, we're not going to tell him that. I said, because God is in control. I said, yes, you're telling me what you went to school for this. You're medically speaking to me, but I know it's a higher power. And I had to tell the doctor, I'm not crazy. I understood if God wanted him, he was going to take him regardless. But I was like, no, I don't want to tell him that because I just want him to be a happy kid. And so I said, okay, so I just want to go home and then we'll come back. He's like, no, we're going to have to put him in ICU today. We got to get medication, everything. And then I was like, okay. So I looked at his dad before breaking down crying. I was on the floor and his dad stood me up. He said, you're going to have to be strong. So I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. He's like, yes, you can. He said, you can and you will. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, he said, you got to get yourself together before Darrel comes back with the nurse and we can hear him coming down the hallway. And so he's like, look, Darrel said, why are your eyes red? And I was like, I just don't feel good. He's like, oh. And I said, but then I told him, I sat him down. I told him, we're going to have to stay at the hospital. I said, they want to give you some medication to help you feel better. And he was like, but I feel better. Because he was running around playing. He's like, I don't feel sick. And he looked at the doctor and he was like, I don't feel sick. And the doctor was like, I know, but you're sick. And he's like, we're going to help you to feel better. And I was like, oh my God. So I told his dad, I was like, just go home, bring me back sweats, hoodies, and a bonnet. Because let's be real, Black girls going to put their bonnets on their head. Because when we down with them kids, you put a bonnet on. We worried about no hair, no makeup, no nothing. So I put my bonnet on, he put me back and bought me all my sweats and stuff. And I stayed at the hospital. I never left the hospital with Darrel. Not for a day, not for an hour, not for a second.
Let me ask you, Darrel, when you're there next to Chaikia in the hospital and the doctor delivers the shocking news that Darrel Jr.'s heart function is very, very low. It's so low that he can't leave the hospital. And you're not really sure, what's going to happen next or what his future will look like or if he has one. How did you handle that? Do you remember what was going through your mind or your heart?
I do. It was like, I always wanted a son, and it felt like he was being taken away at that moment when the doctor said what he said. And that's why I told the doctor, repeat that again, sir, because I didn't want to believe what he was saying, and nor was I going to accept it. But, like his mama say, we know who had the final say on that. And so we just had to be strong for him, and that's where we are today. He's still fighting, but I wouldn't have changed my thinking then. I ain't gonna change it now. So, yes.
how did you dig deep and find that strength to not just fall apart or give up or quite frankly to become, bitter or angry? How did you do that?
Well, I had some mentors around this time, and I played sports, and not to say I ain't trying to brag on myself. I was a star player, but I know how when times got tough, I know how to dig deep and just go some places. No, to go to the uncomfortable places, then to get comfortable in those places. So that's where I got my strength from, and I get it from my mom too, cause she raised six kids. I got six brothers and sisters, so yeah, I got it from my mom.
That is so beautiful. You learned how to go to the uncomfortable places and get comfortable there. I mean, that's a that's a frameable quote. That is amazing. Do you ever do you ever have moments? Do either of you have moments where you think, "My goodness, how do we keep going? How do we maintain um our sense of positivity or belief?"
It's through him. Every day he wakes up, he keeps up going. He keeps up. Well, either we arguing, we loving on him. Um, he telling us what he want to do. Well, he can't stop talking. We want him to stop talking, but he gonna continue to talk. But he's ours, and so that's how we keep going through him, living through him, making him as comfortable, making sure he get whatever he needs to have, whatever he want to do. We try to make it possible within our means, within our means. So yes, that's how we keep going through him.
Yeah. Now sometimes it get tough.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to take a break and walk away, and you have talks with yourself and say, "Hey, this is a lot. This is a lot." But then you have to say, "I got to put my trust somewhere in order to get some peace, a little peace. You got to put the trust somewhere." So even the things you can't see and touch, you got to believe a little bit that it's gonna get better.
That's beautiful, Shakaya. So let me ask both of you this. So with your deep faith and your belief in, as much as you can help and influence that ultimately a lot of things are out of your hands. But the experience with Darrel's heart failure, and then ultimately we didn't tell the end of the story, but he got a heart transplant. Um, did it make you more protective of him to kind of want to just wrap him up? Or did it make you actually want to say, you know what, let's live this life, let's live more fully?
I just let him go. He came after he came home from the heart transplant. He went to he went to high school. He went to his middle school. He got to go to his middle school graduation with all his friends. He went to the middle school dance. He did a whole lot of different things that he would go to the school. Now the school, it was funny because the school people was like telling the kids, Darrel's coming, but he's gonna have a mask on it. I'm like, he's fine. He's okay. They're like, he's coming into school. I'm like, that's my thing. I was like, just let him live. And also like when he got the heart, right before he got the heart, it got really bad. And I remember calling my mama like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was crying because the floor he was on, like everybody up there was waiting on like a heart transplant. It was bad. And I mean, we saw kids passing away in the mornings, in the afternoons, at night. I got to be friends with some of these parents, and they were losing their kids, and we'd be sleeping in the middle of the night, and you can hear a parent let out a scream, and there's another one. And like one night, I just was to the point. It was like the room next door to him, and that kid passed away that night. And that was, I don't think I've ever heard a scream like that to this day. It scared me. It woke me up, and I looked over there, and Darrel was scared. He didn't even want to go back to sleep, and I knew that kid was gone. So I called my mom at 3 something in the morning, and I went outside. I went in the hallway, and I was standing against the wall, and I still remember on the phone, I just was going down to the floor. And my mom was like, Kai, you got to hold on. You got to be strong. And I said, I don't know if I can do this. I said, all around me, these kids are just leaving. I say, I'm getting to know these parents. And the next day, the parents gone because the kids, I say, this is much. I say, I can't. And then, like right now, it's like a desensitized. Like when people start talking about like death or something, it's like I can't process. I can process it. I can't feel it. It's like, okay, so now it's time to move on. Even not even with kids, with grown-ups. Like when my dad passed away and my sister called me in the middle of the night and she said, Dad's gone. I was like, oh, okay. With his mom, when she passed away and they called to tell him he was in the shower, and I was like, oh, okay. And he got out and I just looked at him. He looked at me and I was like, they called and they said, your mom's gone. I mean, it was just, and it's like, I don't have those feelings that I should have when people leave, which is weird to me. Ever since being at that hospital is weird. I mean, I'll cry a little and I'll feel a little bit, but I said, I want to feel emotions like that because you have to feel emotions in order to grieve. But it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
Darrel, let me ask you this, because while Chaikia was there and experiencing, each moment 24/7 in that hospital, you had to fulfill other responsibilities and go to work and be away from the hospital periodically. What was your when you found out, because you were not, there 24/7, when you found out that they had a heart for Darrel, what was your feeling or your emotion?
So when she called me that day, said they got a heart for him.
He didn't answer.
I didn't answer the phone because I was at practice. I was at football practice.
No. No, it was early in the morning.
Early in the morning. Well, I was going to work.
But he didn't answer his phone. I called to tell him.
Right.
He was. Now let me tell you. Let me back it up, Marissa, because this is funny. I called his phone. He wasn't answering. I called it 2 or 3 times. I'm like, he's not answering. So I called back to his job. They're like, no, he ain't come in yet. I was like, well, I'm trying to reach him. So I said, well, I don't know. When he get there, tell him his kid's getting a heart transplant. At that time, I'm pissed because, like, why answering the phone? I said, well, tell him his kid's getting a heart transplant. And everybody in there was like, ah, they was clapping and yelling. And then he was walking through the thing, and they're like, Kaya on the phone, and little Darrel's about to get a heart transplant. He said, what? He turned back around and went and picked up my mom and my niece, and then they came to game. And all our other family members and everybody came.
Everybody gathered. Darrel, what was that like for you to walk into work that morning and to have that as a greeting from everyone?
It was excitement. But then when they say Kaya on the phone, I was saying, something was wrong. So then when I got that news, he getting a heart transplant, I just turned around and just left. I didn't have to tell my supervisor that because they already know the situation. And so once I picked my mom up, her mom, and my niece up, we just went that way, and it was a relief, a sense of joy for us that he was got the opportunity to have this opportunity, because that thing might take years, months, and that was 3 days, 4 days, and when we was here,
he got on the list October 6th. He had it October 10th, and then when the doctors come back in and say today, that's why when they say today's the day, I'm like, I thought you guys said it takes months or years of, like, it's out of y'all hands once you finally got on the list. They're like, it is. They're like, you don't see it. So I was like, okay. But then I was thinking, because I had to tell my mom them this too, while we're waiting on a heart transplant. My mama kept saying, I just want him to get a heart. And this, everybody was like, we just want him to get a heart. We pray. I said, let's not pray that prayer. I said, we're going to pray. We got to be sincere and pray it all the way through. I said, because somebody's got to lose a child in order for him to get a heart. I say, so let's not pray. And I told everybody, and I prayed this prayer. I say, Lord, if it's meant for my kid to get a heart transplant, we'll take it. But if not, and you don't see fit, and he's not going to be the same child going in, coming out, I don't want it. I'll just take him home and let him live his days out. Because right now, he didn't even realize, Marissa, that he was as sick as he was. He didn't realize that. He just thought, I'm sick and these people waiting to give me some medicine and I'm going to get a heart. And if I don't get a heart, he was thinking, okay, I'm going to go home. He told his doctor, because the Tampa Bay Rays was having a game, he said, can you just send me to the Tampa Bay Rays game? He's like, I'm gonna go and my mama gonna bring me back.
Right.
And the doctor was like, it don't work like that, Darrel. Darrel's like, y'all unplug me all the time and I walk around in here and come back. He's like, I promise we coming back. He said, when the game over, my mama will just bring me back. The doctor said, Darrel, you can't go.
So we did tell Darrel's story. So anybody listening, if you want to hear more about Darrel's experience, I did do an interview with Darrel I think a year or two ago. He's on our podcast in the archives. So in just a couple of minutes that we have left, I do want to ask you, I want to shift it just a little bit into the whole notion of taking care of somebody that you love. So with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, as boys become adolescents, become teenagers, become young men and full, adults, the normal course is that there would be an increased independence. But with Duchenne, because of the way it affects our sons physically, as they're getting older, they're losing function and they actually need more support. How do you how do you how do you foster his independence while knowing that you have to be there for him for physical reasons to support him throughout the day with everything he needs physically? How do you find that balance as a parent?
Well, with Darrel, it's easy, I guess, with him because we do it so much, but it is time consuming, and sometimes it is draining because you never get to have your adult time with adult people. You can't, if a friend calls and say, "Hey, let's go shopping," or "Let's go to the movies," or "Let's go out to eat." You can't because you got your kid. I mean, well, adult man, but my son, my baby. So you can't just go. So sometimes, that's frustrating. But most of the time, you can pretty much get Darrel up. And once you get him up out of the bed, like he's dressed and face washed and teeth brushed and everything, once he's at that point, you can pretty much, because he's going to go in like the den and work on like different stuff. So he'll have the TV on and he's on his computer, like uploading videos that he's taking of sports. So he's pretty much can get a little bit of downtime in between there for probably like a good hour and a half. It's a lot. It is a lot. Like I say, we make it look easy because we done it so much. But I think if somebody came out of left field and tried to do it, they probably couldn't do it.
This is why I love you guys, because you are full of joy in life and you have such a beautiful spirit. But we can't deny that it is physically draining. Darrel, what would you tell another dad who, even if it's not Duchenne, if it's just anything that really takes a lot as a parent, as a dad, what would be your top tip for them?
Be there for your sons or your daughters. Just be in the kids' life. No matter how much money you got, because all they want to do is just be loved, and you just show them love as you can. Because that's what I know I instilled in him. So I was always there and showed him love. I ain't have much, but I gave him what I had, and so and we got. I take him places. I took him wherever he wanted to go. Baseball games, football game, basketball game, everything, theme parks. So movies. So that's him. That's me and him. That's how we spend our time together. We go places. That's me and him. Give his mom a break, and then we just be. That's it. Just be there for your children. That's it. And love on them.
Darrel, what's your greatest joy?
Darrel, my greatest joy. He's my greatest joy because he's him. Darrel, him. He did everything he set his mind to. He graduated high school. Um, got his AA bachelor's and his master's degree. We wanted to push him further, but he run his own business. So that's my joy, seeing him live his life out the best that he can. Because they might look at him in the chair, but he don't see himself in that chair. We see him as a lovable young man that I'm so proud of.
So Darrel, you coach a lot of high school sports. You were an athlete yourself. Um, all of those things are rooted in, physical abilities, physical strength. Um, but what has Darrel taught you about strength inside?
He taught me to keep going. He taught me to be the strongest person I could be because it was time. I'm gonna give you the story. He was in hospital in Gainesville, but I used to go every Saturday, every Sunday. I go and come home Monday. This particular time I didn't go to practice that week. I stayed the whole week up there. We playing our rival football team, and I told him I wasn't going. So he loved the game. He never missed one, just like me. He said, I want to go. I said, no, Dad, you need to go. The team needs you to go. And man, you had kidney stones and waiting on the heart transplant all at the same time. He instead of telling me go, I'm telling him, no, I'm not going. So I got there. I said, once I get there, once we win, we going to call you on the phone. So we won that game.
But y'all called him before the game
Yeah,
started,
we called
too.
him before the game. We said a prayer. He prayed with us. We said a prayer for him. He told us he was rooting us on. I'm crying as they doing that after the game. It was a miracle game. We beat. Our rival was a better team. We won the game. I guess they won it for him, and so that brought me so much joy. Brought me so much strength to keep just believe in yourself. That's what he teaches me every day. Because he give me the opportunity to be fathers to kids in this community. He's not a jealous son. He always pushed me to say help others if you can, Dad, and that's what I do. And so that's where I get my strength through him.
If you think about your family, and yes, Darrel having Duchenne and his heart transplant and all the amazing things he's done and who he is, but if you just think about all of you together as a family, the three of you, if your story as a family was a book, what would the title be?
I don't know, because it's funny you say that, because Darrel, professor at college, told him that they thought he should put his life story in a book. What about this, Marissa? I was born to be somebody.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one right there.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I think that we should end with Darrel. Do you want to come over and get in the screen? Let's get you in here. Now, if you're watching this episode, you'll be able to see this going on. If you're only listening, what's happening is Darrel is coming and getting in the screen with his mom and dad. I mean, it's only fitting that Darrel comes in. Darrel Jr., in 10 seconds, what do you want to say about your mom and dad to the world?
I just want to say that I love them and I thank them for everything they do with me, because without them, nobody else would put up with me the stuff that I put them through and all this types of stuff. But I will say this though, something current. So before we got on this meeting, me and my dad had a little misunderstanding, a little argument, and we kind of got into it a little bit. But I just wanted to know I still love him, and I'm sorry, but I love you always, both of y'all. And I just want you to know that just because we disagree don't mean that I won't let anybody else do it. That's what I'm saying. And I love you.
Yeah. You know what? That is so beautiful, because for how loving you all are and how much joy you have and how much laughter you're very normal. And I love that you let people see behind that, all the beauty is also just normal, just people getting through the day. You guys, I am so grateful for you being here today. What a gift you are. And thanks for sharing your story. And I'm glad we could do it. Thanks for being you. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening in. I hope this story doesn't end for you when the episode does. I hope you'll carry this with you and maybe sit with what this story means to you. I hope you'll lean into your own story with curiosity and compassion. And I hope this gave you a soft place to land today. Thank you to PTC Therapeutics, ITF Therapeutics, and Sarepta Therapeutics, who believe in the power of shared stories and helped us bring this episode to life with their generous support. Please share this with someone who might enjoy it or someone that you think might need it right now. That is how the beauty of storytelling multiplies. I'll see you next time.